Members will now proceed to local board input, and I think we'll have the input of Chair Daniel Grant from Kapariki and Member Deputy Chair from Franklin Local Board, Andy Baker, at the respective items, and that is on structure planning later on in the agenda. So we'll have them then. There are no extraordinary items. At 7, there are no notices of motion, which brings us to item 9 on the agendas, member, and this is Auckland Plan refresh. There's 2 reports on Auckland Plan. The first is feedback from local boards. Deputy Chair, would you like to move? And I have it moved by the Deputy Chair to receive the local board feedback on the challenges, opportunities, strategic themes and focus areas of the proposed refreshed plan. I welcome to the table Denise O'Shannessy and Jacques Victor.
It's obscurity.
I'll second if there's no second.
Do I have a second for this motion? Councillor Hills. Denise, we've read the report and the attachments, itemising very well in a detailed way the feedback. I think it's fair to stress that this is on, it's very much iterative, and we're moving quite quickly at the moment. So this initial feedback was on proposals as they were at a specific date. If you can just address that and the future engagement with local boards.
Yes, that's correct. It does represent a particular date in the process when we engaged with the local boards. Just to also note that there's updated appendices to the report, which incorporates all of the feedback from local boards that was received following the agenda close. So we have formal resolutions and feedback from 19 local boards. Mangakiki Tamaki has indicated general support for the way the refresh is progressing, and Oraki is meeting on Thursday to discuss this. So you should have some updated material which completes the feedback from that process. So the next report includes feedback from the targeted engagement with the with stakeholders. So this report is solely on the local board feedback and resolutions. The general themes that were coming through the feedback was the housing affordability challenge for communities, the need for integrated infrastructure support and for well-connected networks, calls for more emphasis on local employment opportunities, the provision of open space as Auckland grows, a range of environmental concerns, and reflecting the importance of Māori and the strength of diverse communities. There's quite a lot of commonality in that feedback and across the wider stakeholder engagement process, and also the engagement through the planning committee workshops. So there's some specific issues that we want to talk about up front, but we propose to do that at the next item. So those issues are around health, Pacifica and rural.
Thank you. Happy to take questions now, Denise, if there are any.
We can, or we can move that to the next item. Yeah.
Okay. Members, just reminding you that this is supported by a number of workshops, 26th of June, 27th of June, and 17th and 20th of July. And all those workshop records are on the hub for your consideration there. So are there questions of members on this? This is the local board feedback. And Councillor Casey.
Yeah, I've got the Puki Tāpapa local board feedback just arrived in my hand, but is there Albert Eden local board feedback?
It's on the... Yes, so that's included. The Puki Tāpapa was the latest one in, so that's just individually on a separate sheet from the others. All of the other feedback's been combined into the 2 updated attachments.
Thank you, Councillor Casey. Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. My questions are around the actual resolution. If the mover and seconder are happy, I've got potentially some amendments, because we've got a tabled, as Councillor Casey just said, a tabled set of comments from the Puketapapa local board. I know that Ōrākei missed a board meeting and theirs is coming. So I wondered if the recommendation should actually read that receive the local board feedback to date on the blah, 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 blah. And I wondered if there'd be, there should be a B. We're not just receiving it, we're doing something with it. So we're considering it in the next iteration of the strategic framework as part of the ongoing development. So I just wondered if we should have a B, just saying what we're doing with it.
Absolutely. Look, we'll do that. Look, I'd probably read the A and took it for granted that we would never ignore feedback from local boards. They are key partners in this. It is we and them that make up Auckland Council. But happy to do that. So
Want me to come up to
receive the local board feedback, including updates.
Sorry, is this a duplicate of what we already got here on paper?
So
It's
Well, it
okay. I'll
shouldn't
just go to
be.
Denise.
I think
Denise,
you're getting
we've
all
got
this paper.
attachments.
Well, they're exactly
And
the
the
same.
Summers and summers.
So all the feedback was not received by the agenda close. So what we've done is we've updated the whole package. So the attachments that have been handed out today include all of the formal resolutions and all the detailed feedback from the 19
goes on to
boards.
here though quite.
So the attachments, members, the attachments as forming part of the agenda have been updated with the tabled attachments. So there is existing and updated information that are now on your table marked attachment A and B. So we are receiving the updated version, attachments A and B.
Apologies, that Puketapapa is separate, but that came in late last night. So
Okay, so can you just draw our attention to Puketapapa? I don't have that individual piece of paper here.
It's been handed out.
Okay, can we get this out, please? We need everything on the table.
If you use the, if the resolution says to date, it is to date, Mr Chairman,
Okay. Thank
which
you.
is including the tabled stuff.
So I'm just reading through the Puketapapa feedback. Okay. Councillor Simpson,
Thank
if
you,
we
Mr.
can
Chair.
also provide attachments, just a minute please.
Sorry.
Can we provide attachments to the media desk? Councillor Simpson, did you want to speak to these motions?
I think I almost have already. I'm just saying that we should include everything that we've got, including the tabled stuff. There is still some to go, so it actually, it doesn't say there is still some to go, but it says to date, noting that I know that my own local boards is still to come. And then I just think it's important to say what you're going to do with it. So I don't need to move it as an amendment. I'm very happy if the Deputy Chair, Councillor Lee and Councillor Hills are happy to include them in their moving and seconding.
We've included it. And the Deputy Chair and Councillor Hills are accommodating? Thank you. Thank you. There being no further speakers, Councillor Casey and then Councillor Newman.
Just on this feedback from local boards, Puketapapa's here and Albert Eden's meeting today to discuss it. But we've got an item coming up that's making decisions and accepting the strategic direction already proposed. So how do you take into account Ōrākei and Albert Eden and even Puketapapa when we're already kind of putting the cart before the horse?
So through the chair, the Albert Eden resolutions are included in the updated attachment A that was tabled today. I guess the important thing to note about this process is that the engagement with stakeholders is and with stakeholders, but also with decision makers is ongoing. And we will consider this feedback as we get it through, and it will be considered in the further iterations of content that we bring to you. So there's not a cut-off point. It was simply that we didn't have all of the material by the time the agenda closed.
So in other words, the feedback from Puketapapa, Albert Eden and Ōrākei are not being considered when we get to item 10.
No, maybe I can respond. So
all of the feedback from all of the local boards will be considered as we proceed from today forward. Today is just a point where we need to do a bit of a check-in where we are so that we can continue with the engagement and can continue with the development of the plan. So none of it has been taken into account for the second item, that following this one, but all of it will be taken into account as we go forward.
With respect, we are in principle supporting the direction today that's laid out in item 10, and it was item 10 that we gave to the boards for their feedback on.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
It's either co-governance or it's not, and if it is, then we should wait until all the boards have said their piece. What's the rush?
Yep. You're
Let's
right.
just delay item 10 till next month, till we've got all the feedback in.
Easily said. Jacques, on that, we're not dealing with item 10 now, we're dealing with item 9, and I'd like us to stay focused on item 9. Councillor Newman.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I agree with Kathy, actually. I don't think that you can consider item 9 in isolation of item 10. I find it unsatisfactory to receive this now, and there's more coming. I just don't think that we do justice to the co-governance model. I mean, I haven't really had a chance to read through all of this, but some of this information is quite important and compelling in it. I mean, I'm told that this will be be included as part of the consideration. Well, how will that be? Because it seems to me that there is quite a significant volume of information coming through from local boards, but it all seems to be a bit perfunctory in the context of the process that we're going through here, because simply because we've got a timetable for agenda cut-offs. So I don't see why we can't delay it a month. I'd like to get that information, because if I'm agreeing to something in principle, I'd like to agree to something in principle that upholds the co-governance model, as opposed to an agenda cut-off and a timetable for report back.
Okay, thank you. Any other speakers to this motion? Councillor Walker.
Just want to endorse the comments of my fellow councillor there, particularly given the matter of the government and the delays around that because of the election. We've already acknowledged that the process is delayed, so why not allow some better process for local board engagement and participation?
Thank you. Members, this is a process. We are in that process. It is a very inclusive process. I have, and the Deputy Chair, we have conveyed repeatedly to local board chairs, but not just local board chairs, or their appointees to come to all of our workshops. The workshops that I spoke of recently, just earlier, 26 June, 27 June, 17, 20 July, local board chairs or their appointees have been invited to participate. That is a step change from the last time that the Auckland plan was put in place in 2012. The level of participation for those that have been at those workshops, the councillor members, it's been extraordinary. We've had, in some instances, more local board chairs sitting around the table than councillors. So the participation and feedback from local board chairs, their appointees and the members has been a lot stronger than ever before. So a lot of the feedback is quite consistent with that has been received around the workshop table of planning committee members. There's general agreement on the strategic framework, I'm noting. Just keep in mind it is an iterative, dynamic process that we're engaged in here. Nothing is being shut out or excluded, and we will continue this process side by side with our local board chairs, their appointees and local boards right through to October. There is ample opportunity for further inclusion here, and I assure you it will occur. And then our confirmation, our ultimate confirmation, is in late November when we as a planning committee will confirm for notification the draft Auckland plan for the refreshed Auckland plan for public feedback early in the new year of 18. That is the process. It's been made clear to us all a lot earlier than today what that process is and the timelines for that process, and we all agreed to it. Jacques, do you have anything further to add?
just to provide some context, and it does relate to the next item. With regard to the next item, the strategic framework that we bringing to you to approve in principle, that already contains the feedback from local boards early on in the process. So that feedback has already been incorporated into the framework. It is just, this is the next step where there were formal resolutions, and so we'll take that into the next iteration of the framework. There's also going to be, past today, further engagement. And then we'll have to come back to you again with the results of that engagement, and it will have to be built into the framework. So it is an ongoing process. But just to note, the initial feedback from the local boards has already been incorporated into the framework.
Thank you, Jacques. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. And I'd just iterate exactly what you just said before, is that we are stepping through a journey. And this is not about shutting doors, it's about keeping them open. So we've received some local board feedback that's informed this stage. We've now received some more that will inform some other stages, and we'll get to October when we've had 4 different sets of consultation and engagement to come up with our draft plan to go out to the final consultation. So this is not about shutting a door here today, either 9 or 10, for that matter, on the agenda. It's about continuing with the journey. Like you said, Mr. Chair, it's iterative. And it's been great to see so many local boards around the chair. The format we've had, discussion in the workshops, it's been absolutely positive. And I'll reiterate your comments, Mr. Chair, that sometimes the local board members there did outnumber the councillors that were there for one reason or another. But it was good to have that great positive engagement with them as we've stepped through this process over the past month or two.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll put the motions. All those in favour, A and B, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary, no.
No.
Declare that carried.
Recorded.
Thank you. I'll go to item 10 and move the